How long did it take with no time?
Eric?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
your request, I'm marking some things off.
Thank you.
Well, yours is supposed to be given, you know, you're supposed to send notes in.
I know.
Okay, what are you marking them off anyway?
So we are. So record this one.
He's on the roll.
Well, let's see what he said. Power of the top notch has been laid off.
Seeing as it's 7 o'clock, let's call to order the Board of Trustees meeting of August 21, 2018. It's our regular meeting. We had obviously the annual meeting on Sunday, so hopefully we could go through the agenda fairly quickly tonight. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Dennis?
Second.
Getting on board right away.
Dennis and Greg. Thank you. All in favor of adopting the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. All right, the President's report. We have two new members of the Board of Trustees who are in attendance tonight, Scott Martin and Dennis Albrecht, both first-time members. You've never been on the board before, have you? No?
I have not.
You have not. So we're glad to welcome you on board. I think you'll find it an interesting experience, hopefully rewarding and not too contentious. And we welcome you and all the efforts you bring to it. We have two people who are not with us that finished their last meetings on Sunday, and that was Fritz Reiser and Valerie Barker, who both served extremely well in the time. Fritz was a little less, about 1.5 years. Valerie was for 3 years. Valerie has indicated she'd still like to stay involved with us on the delinquency committee. She was our chair, and I gratefully accepted her offer to stay on. There's no rule that says a board member has to be it. There are other people who are on the delinquency committee, are myself, Dave Miller, Jim Lloyd, and Greg Patassin. If anybody else would like to join instead, or somebody wants to come off, let me know. But otherwise, I'll just go on the way we are unless anybody has any questions. You can catch me offline on that. That'll be fine. The good thing about that deal is that we're doing so well with delinquencies that the amount of work has really greatly reduced, and the number of people that are there that we're actually going after aggressively has really dropped off. So hopefully that'll keep going. Very pleased to announce the officers. Greg Patassin and I have switched seats. Greg has agreed to help me out, and this is his last year on the board. This is his 6th year, but he is experienced and certainly has a lot of good experiences here. So Greg is going to stay on, or is going to switch into the vice president's role. Eric is going to continue on the secretary role. He didn't step backward quickly enough when we asked for volunteers. And then Tom will continue as the treasurer. So I think we've got really good people, and people who've done well in these positions previously. I hope to do the best I can. I think we have had a lot of momentum in the last 7 years, 8 years that I've been involved. That's how long we've been here. I've enjoyed working with the previous presidents that I've seen here at Hideaway Hills, starting with Bucky Childers and Jim Lloyd and Greg. And I think they've set a really good example, and certainly for something that I want to emulate, to do as much and be as competent and experienced and level-headed as they were. So that's my goal in terms of my performance. Again, I think my feeling is we're doing, things are going very well. I think people like the place. There's a lot of things that are going well. I think we're working together, and we'll hopefully continue to do that. That being said, we did have one very disappointing event on Sunday, which is that we went down with the assessment increase. We're going to talk about it later in a certain amount of detail, but again, I think it's, a couple points to know. We didn't get enough people out to vote, probably on the order of only 35% of the votes were cast, and we had nearly 2/3. It was just a few votes, and frankly, if we just had a couple more, then we could just move on. Again, we'll talk about that later in more detail, so I won't spend too much time on it now. But we do need to analyze the message. Did we not get the message out, or is there something there that we need to hear from the people who did vote? And I think I'd like to hear from all. I think we all need to chip in on that one, because that's a joint situation. Because my feeling is we were not going out for frilly things. We were not going out for stuff that would be good to do as opposed to need to do. I thought we had a real strong group of proposals and things that were important to the hills, the infrastructure of the hills, and so. So that, we'll talk about that at length later. I'm talking loud enough, aren't I?
You're doing just fine.
The top one is not working. That's the way it is upstairs.
Power issue.
Top one doesn't work, upstairs too.
And,
It'll work. All right, don't worry about that.
Sorry, Jim.
no, that's fine, but I just. Are we good? All right, one final thought, believe it or not, it's the 20th of August, the 21st of August, and that means we're almost to the end of the summer. It's obviously I think that it's been a great summer, it's been a safe summer. I think the number of security issues on the lake and the like there's been a few, but they haven't been serious ones, we haven't had any injuries. And we're looking into, the next couple weeks with a lot of activities and a lot of fun things between the social committee events and the concert on the lake and the Calcutta. So I'm just hopeful that, that when we meet again in a month, we'll have finished the summer and we'll still be in as good a position as we are and have as enjoyable as we have up to now. On that, I am finished with the president's report, and so, Mr. Lapp, do we have any correspondence?
No.
That's good. How about the minutes? Consider the minutes.
Yes, we need to make a motion
We need to make a motion. Everybody have their minutes in front of them. Have they had a chance to read them? At least sometime in the last month. Any questions?
I move we accept the minutes as submitted.
I have a motion from Greg Patassin to accept the minutes.
Second.
Second from Dwayne Mickey. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes are accepted. Moving on, Mr. Matthews?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasury report as of July 31st, 2018. The board committee fund had $116,514.18.
Does anybody have any questions of Tom? I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion.
Dennis makes a motion.
I'll second.
Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Tom.
Good question, Tom, did you edit your, routing list so that Dennis and Scott got it?
Yes, I did.
Very good.
On the ball.
We're in good shape here.
We are indeed. On that note, I will turn to our colleague from the management committee. Jim Kirk, it's yours.
Good evening. All right, going down my list of achievements and things that have happened in the last month, we had the guard shack tested for mold, and there was none found in the building. As everyone knows, that sits in a kind of a low spot that stays very wet, so that's really good news. We were a little concerned that underneath there might be a problem, but they did test it. We had no issues. After using sales information broken down by the hour of business, we're changing the lodge's hours to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be 5 to 10. Friday and Saturday will be 5 to 11. I think the only real change on there is the Friday, Saturday was midnight. We looked at the sales, and we kind of expected that there would be a bump close to midnight. People would be cashing out because, you kind of run a tab for an hour or two, and sales from 11 to 12 were minimal. So we're going to eliminate that hour. Moving on, we are doing an improved chip and seal process this year. We're still proceeding with it. They're in the middle of it. The improved process includes sweeping the road of gravel and debris first so that the tar has a better chance of sticking. Repairs, when possible, have been done with hot patch instead of 411 limestone, which washes out too easy. That makes more of a permanent repair, but due to the shortage of funds, this process won't be used on all the chip and seal. We had to make a decision the other day that if we were gonna get what we wanted to get done this year, we were gonna have to go to the less expensive process of using 411. Or there was just gonna be some roads that were desperately needed that we weren't gonna get to. We had an issue brought to us on docks, lost due to delinquency, also stalls at the stable, but that's kind of rare. We made a couple changes. We've set up, the dam assessments did not have a 30-day past due letter going out. There wasn't anything going out on the dam assessments until 60 days. We are now sending out a 30-day letter. Another thing we did, which we have the ability to do because our system in there's a database, is we're having a report pulled at about the 55th day, and it's cross-checking past due with people that have either docks or stalls, and we're making a courtesy call, you know, hey, you're getting ready to lose your dock, and we think that's in the interest of customer satisfaction. That's why we're doing it. Another issue with the docks is you lose your dock if you don't have a boat in there for 3 weeks in a row and you haven't informed the office that you have your boat out to be repaired. Correct? Yes. Okay. We now have security. We've had a couple issues where there has not been a boat there for 3 straight weeks. According to the security checks, which was once a week, we go to the member, tell them they're losing their dock. Of course, they're not happy about that, and they swear up and down that we were just checking at the time the boat wasn't there, because it's been there. So now security is going to check a couple times a week, and at different times, you know, like the normal check I think is early in the morning on whatever day, and they're going to go back a couple more times on those ones that were empty, and different times of the day confirm that they're either empty or there's a boat there. So therefore, if we go to a member and tell them there was no boat there for 3 weeks, we're sure there was no boat there for 3 weeks. Clubhouse had a really good month in July, turning a profit of $4,600 on an increase in sales of over $7,600. The Lodge had a slight improvement in profitability and sales. And lastly, trying to keep this short, we now have an opening in the Hideaway Hills office, and we'll be advertising for help wanted immediately. That's it, that's all I got.
The opening, is that someone who's leaving?
Yes.
Can you say who it is?
Tina's no longer with us.
Jim, question on the closing hours for the lodge and the clubhouse. If the lodge is 5 to 10, does that mean last call is right at 10, or does that mean last call is earlier and they close it?
Last call will be earlier, and we didn't address the clubhouse hours. We haven't.
Okay, so one is, you know, what are you talking about last call?
I don't know. Usually a half hour.
Two questions while we're talking about the lodge. If the place is busy, will they continue to stay open, or is it automatically at 10 o'clock everybody's out on the street?
I don't think the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is an issue. The 10 o'clock, if they're busy coming up on 10 o'clock, I would say they would probably stay open a little while. They might call last call at 10 o'clock, something like that.
Okay.
The issue was specifically Saturday night, because they have some things they have to do Saturday night. They got to check out, you know, cash out and everything for the week, and they weren't getting out of here till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. We've already talked to John and Sherry. Anytime there's an event, like a concert, like when Pop Gun plays, or in the wintertime, if they got a DJ and got a band in there on a Friday night or something, then they will post the fact that they're gonna stay open till midnight.
Okay. On the docks, they're not there, not the delinquency. Will they be notified that they're coming up on losing them or not?
No.
No? Okay. That's all, just curious.
Yeah, there were a couple of them that just were a problem here recently, so I think it was staff, the further management committee and security take a look at it, so. Because that is probably one of the most contentious things that we get, is when we have to take a dock away from somebody.
Well, the reason we didn't go that extra step of making a phone call is because, the feeling is that 99.9% of the people that have boats and have a dock know the rules. And if they've neglected to call and let somebody know that their boat's at Buckeye Marina or wherever, you know.
There was also a Lakes Committee recommendation too, not to make the call.
Yeah.
How many folks are on the waiting list now, Randy?
Last I checked, it was about 17.
Fox News alert.
About urban miners?
What do you think I said, Pete?
Yeah.
No, Urban Meyer will come tomorrow.
Now, let me clarify that a little bit. That's any available dock. Now, there are people on there, more people on there that want specific docks. But any available, I think there's 17. Yeah.
Is there anybody who's been on that any available list all summer long?
I couldn't answer that.
I just was wondering if there's anybody.
I know I came up twice in the spring. I didn't get the letter the first time, so it went pretty quickly in the spring.
Yeah, and we've had several like that.
I just, a new person who just moved in and got on the list, you know, if they'd be able to.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause we've had, 50 home sales in the hills already this year, so. That's one thing, if you look at your financials, we were much more conservative when we budgeted that beginning of the year, so that's good for both the amenities process as well as the operating. Any further questions of Joe? Thank you very much. Let's move on to Randy Sweatman, please, with the general manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will go over the delinquency totals first. The delinquency total for July of this year, for regular assessments was at $15,160, which is the lowest it's been for just about forever. And the roads were at 0. As of August 16th, the regular assessments went up a little bit to $16,494, and of course the roads hit us pretty bad with everybody at $4,400. But I'm sure that we'll get that down as we have progressed in the past. As a matter of fact, I think last month we only sent one person we sent two to the attorney last month, so that's a pretty good thing. Total dam assessment as of last Friday was $397,142 in the account. I want to let everybody know that the fall OLCA meeting is going to be held at Lake Winoka this year, which is just southwest of Hillsborough and east of Cincinnati. It will be September 19th and 20th. Board of Trustees, management, and committee chairs, their entry fee is paid by the club if you all would like to go. And I would encourage you to go to at least one of the day sessions because they are very interesting. And it's just good to meet with the other lake communities because we all have the same issues and we talk amongst ourselves. And so it's a good learning experience. I sent out a lakefront property cleanup email out there a week or so ago, and we're getting good responses on that. I've had several people call me, apologize, we're going to get to it, and I've also had people call and say, hey, it's about time you did this. So apologize for not getting that out sooner, but I've gotten a good response for that. Also, as you probably know, we've had the Hocking County Health Department has come in and has done some mosquito testing. On the Hocking County side, we found one positive test for West Nile virus. And so I called Fairfield County, and they are meeting with them tomorrow morning. They're going to set some traps on the Fairfield County side. We'll probably set one in North Park area. We'll set one in the North Dock area. And we'll probably set one someplace over at Area 54. I'll let them choose that. But we'll probably set that just the other side of the garden there. Is that well still active? You know where I'm talking about?
The well,
That old well up there?
I don't believe I know
It
anything
still
about
has
that.
water in it.
That's where I'm gonna set him up at, right there. Cause that's a good
Watch out,
breeding
there's a
zone.
snake that lives there too.
That's all right, snakes are fun.
When you take the cover off, he greets you.
Okay. And this is one of the things that Penny asked me to check on, and Jim was already on it, is the new board reps for the committee, so we can get that put together and get it out, and I know you're already on top of that. Jim and I met with South Central Power today. They are going to start their 5-year right-of-way clearing right after Labor Day. And we had some issues the last time we did this with them leaving debris in members' yards, that type of thing. So we had a discussion with them about that. They're going, anything that they leave by the road or close to the road, they're gonna chip it. And they're not gonna leave any debris on people's yards. So any debris that's left will be left on the right of way. So I just wanna inform you that we had some problems last time, and I think we clarified it pretty well with them today. So.
But the right of way could be on your property underneath the line.
Yeah, that could be. They won't be leaving stuff there.
They will not be?
They will not, no.
Okay.
Not on, well, if it's behind your property, yes,
Okay,
but not right on your lot lines.
okay.
Yeah. So, does anybody have any questions?
There was some talk, speaking of South Central, about them doing a study or something about burying the
Yeah.
lines.
That was the second part of that conversation that we had.
Okay.
Their first phase, and they're not sure how soon. Actually, the guys that were here today said they didn't think that where the 3-phase goes through from above maintenance to the Bremen gate, that they were going to need to clear the right of way, because they thought it was already gonna be buried by this time. They're running way behind, but that's the first phase, is the three phase from right up on the ridge above maintenance, up, weaving through the hills to the Bremen gate. And I would bet that that'll probably be this winter or spring.
I have no idea. I know Karen McNabb has had some conversation with the gentleman from South Central Power. I've contacted him 3 different times and got no response. I told them that today. They gave me the name of the supervisor, so he's supposed to get a hold of me. If he doesn't, I'll contact him, so we'll have more information on that. That's the reason I didn't bring it up. It doesn't have a whole lot of information on that right at this time.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's still in the works.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
The last time they suggested that, they wanted us to pay for it. What are they talking about this time?
They haven't said one way or the other.
Okay.
Do you want us to pay for the whole project, or?
I don't know that specifically, but I know they wanted us to contribute. So,
When was that? Because I don't remember that.
that's hearsay.
Okay.
Jim, do you remember?
I'm trying to think back. I don't remember anything from when that come out, 2010 through today. I don't remember anything, but there's been a lot happen.
I don't remember either, and that's how long I've been involved. All right, any other questions of Randy at all? All right, let's go to committee business and reports. I'll start off with the deck update first, and then we can get into other people. We're still working hard to find a contractor. We have talked at length with three contractors. We've given our plans to a total now of 6 contractors. I got one bid back from, or a partial bid back from one of the groups that we talked with in the beginning that seemed very interested, and that conversation is continuing with them. They didn't really meet the specs of what we needed, and then they also didn't quite understand. They weren't able to. They assured us they could if we gave them the copy of the plans, they'd be able to come back with a decent bid, and they were not able to. Some of the values that they used were way too high, and certainly out of where we were going. So we're continuing to work with that. It was, basically about a 3-week slowdown that I was gone for 2 weeks, and then our architect was gone for a week on vacation. But we're all back and working on it again. Pat Lynch is working with us as well. and trying to drum up some additional people that will be interested in bidding. We would like to get it started here as soon as possible. The fundraising has gone well. I talked to Kathy Clevenger earlier, who's been leading the fundraising, and we both think between the pledges and the money on hand, we have over $70,000 for the project. So we're hopeful that they'll be able to get it done within that package. If not, you know, I've had several people talk to both Kathy and I that if we get, you know, close and we need some additional funds, that they'll be interested in, and we can come back and talk to them again. So we will do everything we can to get them, trying to widen the net to get it, and encouraging. I mean, we've had extensive discussions with three people, and we just haven't gotten any firm bids back. We have a committee that will evaluate the bids when they come in. Jim Kirk is on that, Dan Donovan is on it, Kathy's on it, and then there's one other person who I want to be on it who hasn't committed yet, but hopefully she will fairly soon. And so I'll work with them as well to do that. Again, as soon as we can get it going, we will. Again, the big piece that came in is that the cable rail and the composite material that we specified and the amount that we had, the prices came in quite a bit higher than we expected they are. And so our architect is out beating on people right now, trying to make sure that those numbers are realistic. Also, the wood has gone up this year. Lumber is up because we have a tariff with Canada. So wood products for housing across the country, the wood aspect of it is up almost 10%. Now with us, it's not that big because the amount of lumber we have is probably only around $8,000 or $9,000. So it's not a big hit, but the costs are going up, and apparently the other issue is that most of the local builders around here are really busy, and so we'll keep working it, and there's nobody that wants to get it done more quickly than me, but I'm not going to be able to do it. That's not in my skill set. Any questions at all? Because pledges, people made their pledges, people paid their pledges. We're doing, you know, and a lot of people are interested. I get asked quite often where we're at and how's it going, and so we'll,
Any sense of when we get the other two bids in? I mean,
both of them assure me that they're working on it, and they're, you know, working with suppliers. And so the one guy who did give us the bid, we're already talking back with him. So he just, you know, it was sort of frustrating to see because he clearly wasn't able to look at the plans and come up with what we needed. So. And, you know, we spec'd out a cable rail system, or what we thought it was, and he chose another one which was much more expensive with aluminum, more aluminum pieces in a railing. It was all aluminum, which was raised the price by a factor of about 2. So anyway, we'll keep working. I will dutifully report on this under committee reports every meeting. Great. I mean, I didn't the last time because I just had gotten back from vacation.
Yes, we've got one fly up here.
I know, it's going after all of them. Those of you at home, I'm really not a hand waver that much, so that's actually a fly. All right, let's go on to any committee reports.
You gonna start with me?
I can, I would love to.
Thank you very much, that's awful nice. It's good. The barn committee, I got this in a little late to get it into the consolidated. Fence line clearing in spring has been completed. It was an amenity project. There's still problems with the downspout. You and I talked about that, Randy. Did Jeff ever get back to you?
Not about the downspout.
Well, it's talking about the same thing that we were talking about. There's problems with downspout leakage that is causing flooding in the stalls, as well as a root leak that leads to the hay storage area.
Yeah,
I guess
the
that's what.
downspout issue, I'm not sure about that, but the roof leak, I'm aware of that. I'm waiting for it to rain so I can see where it's coming in at.
Okay. It said the downspout leak would be addressed well.
You're waiting for it to rain.
Well, I'm here.
You know what? I just thought of that.
I'm sorry.
It was right over the top of my head.
Yeah.
You got about 15 minutes.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fine.
I'm sorry, Ricky, I apologize.
Said the downspout leak could be addressed well with laying the tile to divert the water. That's what.
I don't even know where that is.
Okay,
Okay.
you need to probably contact
Yeah.
Mary Kay. Gate post needs to be reset. I didn't realize this was a request for a bunch of work. Reset is field 2 as well as installing a new gate. This would take no more than 4 hours to complete. I assume they'll pay for that out of their own money. The rest 28 amenity fund, or 2018 amenity funds. For new shelter on field 3, and the committee funds would also need to assist in funding that. And there's 2 upcoming fundraisers, the annual boo at the barn, and the new pumpkin sale fundraiser, which will be in October. That's it for the barn. The airport.
Hold on one second on Bart, I just, you said, you assume they'll pay for it out of their funds, but based on history, confirm that before.
Well, it won't be done until it's paid for. I don't have any idea. That was my assumption. I don't know whether there's amenity funds to pay for it or their funds. It's not assumed it'll be paid for out of one of those. They're not asking management to do it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, no. Airport committee, the chicken dinner sale is going quite well. I think there's less than 40 left now out of the original 100, and we really haven't been pushing it. Lynette and I have been up at the clubhouse in the evenings. There's somebody there now, or not now, but we're selling the 60-40 tickets and the chicken dinners to be delivered on the late September 2nd, or you can pick them up if you're not going to be out on for the concert. They're going real well. The 60-40, which is 60% will go to the 3 prizes, and then 40% will stay with the committee. Doing okay. It's not killing anybody yet, but they just normally come in later on, don't they, Dwayne?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Continuum.
I am interim chairman, and I want to resign. Lynette's going to take over as chairman, so I guess I need a motion to accept my resignation.
What are you resigning from again?
I'm basically, I took over the airport committee.
The airport committee, okay.
On an interim basis until we got somebody to come in, and Lynette has said that she would, so if I'm not mistaken, you gotta have board vote to resign and to appoint a committee chairman, so I guess I'll ask for a motion to.
I can make motions now, so I'll make the motion to accept
Did
the
that pretty darn
resignation.
exciting, quick.
Resignation of Mr. Boyd from the airport committee, as long as he gives us a report later on the guests that came to the clubhouse.
On the what?
I'll second it.
Second by Dennis. Carry the motion forward.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, yeah.
Motion passes. Do you wanna have Lynette let me know that she wants to, or do you feel comfortable that she has volunteered sufficiently?
Oh, yeah, I told her flat out, she could, yep, I need a motion. I said, she's military, and I said, what do they call it, when you volunteer, because if you don't, there's gonna be a lot of repercussions.
Stopgap, yeah.
So she reluctantly said, no, she said she'd be glad to.
I think you could probably.
Now, I guess now I need a motion to accept her.
Okay,
Vice President Kim.
okay, on past President Kim.
Dwayne,
Makes a motion, Lynette Kilbarger to be the chair of the airport committee. Do I have a second?
A second.
Scott seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? If you would share with her.
I will. And one last thing on the airport committee, boy.
I'm sorry, Jim, one second. Who was the first on that?
Dwayne, Mickey,
Dwayne
and
and Scott.
Thank you.
Todd Cahill has been chairman, and he got extremely ill. I don't know how many people know it or not. It was really touch and go for quite a while. He was in the hospital for 10 weeks. And last Saturday, in walks his girlfriend Brandy with Scott in tow, or Todd in tow. And he came to the clubhouse, sat there for about 45 minutes. We talked. I've been seeing him about every week. But he's on the road to recovery, and he said, and I don't know that this is gonna happen because he's still got a long ways to go, but he said, I will be back by the end of September. He's in Winchester Care in Canal Winchester, and anybody that wants to stop in and see him, he'd be glad to see him. But it was really neat to watch him walk in.
excellent.
That's the end of my report.
Right.
I never talked this long.
My fact? Dwayne, do you have anything?
The range committee has been using amenities funds very well. We got a new ceiling in the range inside, new lights. We flipped the doors. Done a lot of work inside now. We've got a trap shoot on September 15th. We'll supply the clays and the rounds, shells, even shotguns if you wanna come. We'll have 50-50 and a cookout and come see the range.
Do we have that date approved already? Okay.
It'll be reaffirmed in the email.
I got you. Yeah,
If nobody has anything for Dave, I know of a couple of dates for social committee as well.
I don't have anything from him, so.
Social committee on this Saturday from 11 to 1 will be selling license plate covers with the highway L's on it at the front gate. I don't remember what they cost, I think they're $10. And then pop gun September 1st at the amphitheater.
Good deal. Thank you. Oh, yeah. One.
No, it wasn't me.
I guess
To be honest, I don't know, I met him
Wasn't me
that
either.
day.
I know who it was. Paul Wooster won the judges, and I don't know the people's
There was
name.
a Matthews, Judy and, I know it's Judy.
Mitchell, not Matthew.
Mitchell.
Won
I was looking
the
at your
people's
name.
choice.
Some kind of pork.
Yeah, pork and peach.
Yes.
Tasty stuff.
It was all good.
Yeah, that was a fantastic event. I mean, it was nice this time. There was like 10 different, I've been to it before where we've had 5 people making pork butts. And they're still good, but this time there was 10 different, or 8 different, we had 8 different, plates, and it was just really a nice, diversity. It was a fantastic event.
You have anything? You don't have anything yet.
I don't have any committees yet.
But I think what Scott's here, am I correct that the big hit at the clubhouse was Scott Martin Grilling?
I don't know about that, but I think the alcohol is usually the biggest hit at the
Thank you.
I usually get a good out for that.
He's honest, what the heck?
While he's out there cooking, they're selling alcohol inside.
The only thing I got, we'll kind of have, is ACC met and made some changes to, temporary permits. Unfortunately, I was able to make the meeting. Were you able to be at that meeting?
Yeah.
Would you mind giving us an update on?
Well, we've got members who, in the past, we haven't required them to get a permit when they're doing repairs. For instance, weather repairs, like tree falls on the house, different things like that. We haven't, unless they're changing something, we haven't required any permits. We've had people question that, because they see somebody out doing something, they don't see a permit posted. So now they're going to post a green permit, a green piece of paper, whereas typically we have yellow, to let everybody know that they have applied for a permit from ACC, and it's for repair. That's basically all it is. So when you see a green permit, it's basically just a repair permit. It's a no charge permit, it's just a repair permit, so.
Thank you.
On tree falling, you said?
Yeah, if a tree falls on a house, and they need to repair the roof or something like that, or a deck, or anything like that.
The other process of taking a dead tree out or things like that, I know that
Yeah, they
in the past I've gone to you and you check it off.
Right.
Would that be issued to that as
No,
well?
no, that has nothing to do, that's completely different.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
Thank you.
Tom Matthews.
Just golf committee real quick, they got the Calcutta coming up the weekend of the 8th and 9th. Health and wellness, 5K on November 3rd. Also like to make a motion to let the, Health and Wellness Committee conduct a fantasy football league as a fundraiser.
Second.
Do we have it? I'm trying to remember, I don't think there's a problem with that.
We didn't know if we should do it as a fundraiser, we typically approve fundraisers, but
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about though, in terms of, fantasy football has an element of gambling
Yeah,
involved.
I don't think they could sell the chances or whatever, the boxes at the clubhouse or the lodge.
No, I don't think they're boxes
They're
in
boxes,
fantasy
the league.
football, it's like a
It's like the
league.
March Madness.
It'd be no different than pay money, getting in the golf league and getting money.
So they're not doing anything
No.
with it at the lodge or clubhouse, then?
No.
That was just all
Yeah, we just
online.
got into that with, when we were looking at Keno and everything else, and you had to declare to do things when you have things like that around your alcohol permit, and you have to have different donations to
No,
charities.
nothing, clubhouse lodge, just all online.
Okay, then I don't have a problem with that at all.
I'll
Tom made the,
I already seconded.
Errol did it.
I checked my mouth.
Any further discussion or questions with Tom about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Then, tennis committee had their chicken dinner fundraiser, raised about $500. Also like to make a motion to get a $50 gift card for Dave and Ginger Reed for all their help with that event.
Second.
Tom makes the motion, seconded by Greg, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any further, Tom?
Nope.
Dennis?
Oh, I do have one other. Since nobody has the organic garden request, there's a, request to pay Craig Patassin $25.82 for gas for the generator for the garden.
Motion for 50, how much did you say?
$25.82.
I'll make that.
Tom makes a motion, Dennis seconds. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right. Have any other fund requests at all? That's great. I appreciate that a lot. That being said, it's time for open forum. Jim, do we have anybody that wants to speak?
It's the biggest crowd we've had.
I know we got somebody that wants to speak, I've got one that I can't read. I don't know whether it's a yes or a no or what. But I know there's a lady back there. I don't know, did y'all sign in? Okay, it doesn't matter, but I knew you wanted to speak, so I think you're just the one.
Sounds good. Please come forward.
Hello.
Hello. Could you
I'll introduce
state your-
myself.
Yeah, state your name and your lot number, please.
Melissa Woodrum,
Okay.
670.
Okay.
I'm Matt's wife, Matt Woodrum. I don't, some of you know him, but I'm the one that works all the time, so you don't know me very well. I have just wanted to come and try to get your blessing. I have a grandson, 16 months old, with spina bifida. There's going to be a benefit held at the Athens AMVets, September 24th, or September 15th. I'll go ahead, I printed off some flyers just so some of you could look at those, to see. I just wanted to maybe hang those up, around the post office areas. Inside there's bulletin board, but I didn't want to do it without coming and getting your blessing on that. There's going to be some raffles, tickets sold. Just wanted to kind of get your blessing on maybe selling those within the limits of Hideaway.
What's the young man's name?
Maximus Fowler.
No.
And I want to redo that flyer a little bit. I would like to add Matt and I's name on there so that, you know, it is recognizable that it is Member Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's really all I have.
Well, thank you for coming to us. Yeah, if you just identify that it's your family. who you
Yeah,
are
yeah, it is
as members,
grandson.
then I think that's-
The surgery is going to be in Cincinnati Children's Hospital on September 24th. The prognosis at this point is not very good, so it's a little emotional for me. I try to
Yeah.
fight back, but you know.
I can't participate, but I'd like to contribute this.
Oh, thank you very much.
Ken, if somebody you put a contact info on there too.
Yes,
So
I
if
will.
somebody wants to participate, yeah.
And I wanted to show you, I did bring tickets so that you could see what they actually look like. This is the one for a revolving drawing, and I have some coming, from Minute Press, I think Thursday, on a half a hog that's cut and processed, by Steve's Meats off 595 in Logan. Spin around, maybe I can see.
The best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Do we have to officially approve that, Jim?
No, because if it's a member, they can make a post.
Right.
Well, but selling the raffle tickets,
Yeah, that's what I was most concerned about. I didn't wanna do anything.
it probably ought to be approved by the board's decision.
Yeah. I'll make the motion to approve the posting and the selling of the raffle tickets, et cetera, on the flyer.
Thank you very much.
Second?
Second.
Dwayne, second. Greg first. Third made the motion. Greg, Dwayne, second. Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Beth?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, don't forget your money.
Don't forget your
Melissa.
money.
I was gonna shake this man's hand. Thank you very much. Do you wanna put your name on enough of these?
Just on that one.
Oh, I'm sure.
Figure another one floating around
Thank
here.
you very much.
Yeah.
Well, give me that back, I'll just pull it out, give it to her later.
He's not me.
Do you
What? He's
I
not me.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one further? All right. That being said, we'll reconvene the meeting, and the next topic is the reaffirmation of the e-votes. Everyone has their e-votes in front. Do people who were not on the board, do they vote at this point or not? People who were not on the board, Scott and Dennis, be voted on, they voted, they didn't vote.
I
I would think
not.
that, no, they would vote, these votes were taken before they were on.
That's what I was saying, that was, that makes a good point. All right. So. Okay, we have, first of all, we have a vote. There was a 7-0 vote. It was from August 6th. There was an e-vote for the pontoon removal on 10/10/27. Do I have a motion to reaffirm?
So moved.
Matt, a second.
Second.
Greg, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And I can read them all then, right? All the ayes. Okay, so now we'll do, I don't have to prove each one, right?
No,
Right, we'll just go through them all. Okay. Okay. The first vote was from, July 18th, an e-vote to reimburse up to 10 grillers at the grilling competition, $75 each for the food costs. They were reimbursed from cash taken in from 50 people who purchased the $20 tasting tickets, and up to $75 for trophy expenses. Also on the 18th, e-vote to end ingress and egress restrictions on Garrett Schick. On 7/20, an e-vote to approve $250 from the golf committee funds for paving along hole number 9. On July 20th, an e-vote to approve the range committee to have a trap shoot on September 5th and a veterans appreciation shoot on November 11th. We have new members that we voted on July 22nd. Kenton and Heather Svetic, lot 1029. William Shirey and Leslie Atkins, lot 542. Stacy Scott and Sean Humphrey, lots 123, 24, and 25. John Eubanks and Yolanda Harris, lot 1970 and 71. James P. and Mary Ann Pickett, lot 0539. Stella McInerney, lots 052G and 052H. Those were all the new members. There were 6 different properties involved there. 7/27, an e-vote to reimburse Lance Olds for the new member committee funds for $27.99 for signpost supplies. On August 2nd, an e-vote approval for the social committee to set up a pop-up to sell and install HAH license plate brackets at the gate and parking area at entrance, August 25, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Flipping the page. An e-vote approval of Saturday, November the 3rd, 2018, for Health and Wellness 5K Run and Walk, beginning at 9 a.m. On August 7th, e-vote to allow a private event on the lodge on January 19, 2019. And we do note that we are going to try to see if we can stay open the week after New Year's so that there's no limitations. That was a recommendation, it wasn't part of the, wasn't stipulated on all the votes, but we will work with the management committee on that. E-vote to reimburse Sue Pyle $53.99 from the Lakes Committee for a speedometer for the security vote. Again, on August 8th, an e-vote to approve the Golf Committee TV raffle plan, and in a separate to e-vote to approve Article 9, an immediate ban from the lodge and clubhouse for a patron who was misbehaving. On 8/10/2018, e-vote to reimburse Heather Ray from the Chapel Committee funds for a total of $78.39, $31.98 for 2 fans for services, and $46.41 lodge brunch for the chapel's visiting pastors. And then finally, an e-vote to approve Health and Wellness to begin seeking donations of cash, supplies, and volunteer labor to turn the former Panacea office into a workout facility.
What were the, votes on that?
Those were all 8-0.
That was an 8-0, it's my fault.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not showing there, that was.
It was an 8-0. I'll resend that to you.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the e-votes as read?
So moved.
Wayne Mickey, may I have a second?
Second.
Greg Patassin seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Greg can't second that. He wasn't am I correct?
I don't know.
I'll second.
Yeah, let's have Eric do that. That way we were sure.
Okay.
Because you were.
Yeah, we said they couldn't vote, so.
Yeah, you weren't voting in that time. So. All right. Eric seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They pass. The e-votes pass. All right. Now we move on to new business topics. And we have 2 of them that I think are both fairly interesting topics. And Greg would like to talk to us first to start on the assessment increase options, given the vote that occurred on Sunday.
Our options are such, we can put it back out to a membership vote. You have to give the board a 90-day notice. The board has to see the proposal 90 days before you can vote. So that means that the soonest we could put it out would be, if we do it on Sunday, membership meeting, November 25th. I'm not recommending that, I'm just saying that's the earliest we could do it. You have to give the members the notice 60 days out. It's a little confusing, but the board has to see it. And the reason for that is, somebody could present a petition to the board, it would not coming from the board. That's why the board always wanted the extra 30 days. The options are, we could approve the language as it is tonight, or new language tonight, and do it on November 25th. I don't know that that's the best option. The other option is to say, hey, let's sit down in a month and see if we learned anything from all the comments on Facebook, from the comments in the meetings.
Did we call Linda?
Call Linda.
Hang on for a second, yep.
And
We're gonna call one member who was physically unable to be here.
Linda wanted to be in on this one.
Yep. Hopefully she's watching at home.
I hope it's working.
All right, now I found where the ringer volume is. How do you make the call, right? Here it is.
Yeah.
Got it. Love technology when it works.
How about I just call her from my phone?
Why don't you call it?
Put her on speaker.
There you go.
Call the calls.
You want to pause or mute the flashing lights?
I just hit hold by accident.
Call did not go through. Please try your call again.
Try it again, cause that.
We're sorry, your call did
How
not
do you,
go through.
I'm looking for the cancel
Try
button.
your call again.
All right. Do you have to dial that?
No,
I did.
just 740-569.
740-569-4459. Hi, this is Greg. We're just talking about the assessment increase and just, I told you about the dates earlier today, so you know what those are. And the last thing I said was to, we could look at the history of what happened this time and not approve it tonight, or we can approve it tonight. So that's kind of where we stand, I think.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw it open to anybody here.
Oh, I just want to mention, I listened to part of the meeting, but I really couldn't hear people, so I ended up turning it off. So just as for feedback.
Thanks. Okay.
I can start this thing if you wanna get something rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I mean, I'd like everybody to chip in, because this
If
is
we-
a big issue for us.
If we leave it the same as we do, we'd have to have it either before, we'd have to have it November 25th or, in December, because the way it reads right now, there would be no, cost of living increase in 2019. It would be the $15 assessment increase, but there would be no cost of living. If we wait and go into 2019, we're gonna have to do something about that.
Well, that's a good point, yeah, because
Yeah, it is.
where we're sitting right now is that we will take the reading of the CPI in September and we'll compare from a year, and the number's gonna be around 3%. I'm sorry, yeah, the increase will be somewhere, between 2.5% and 3%, it looks like. And that would step in officially, since the vote went down, that would start January 1. And 3% on 160 is about just short of $5 a month is what it would be, so it'd be $60 a year. That's what we would get if, the way we are right now, if we don't supersede it with another vote, another election. I mean, what did people think? I mean, did we go too quick? I mean, we were so close. Do we need to come up with additional alternatives? Does the management committee need to look at, my take on it is that I thought we had shown a lot of things that we really wanted to invest in that we thought were important. And, we didn't get enough people to come out, and unfortunately, we only ended up a few votes short, which was really disappointing, but nevertheless, do we need to give people more information of what the impact might be?
I don't think enough people voted. I mean, with the dam, we did calling.
Yeah.
And, stressed it, and, it wasn't the amount that the dam was, that was a much larger amount, but, I think, and looking at some of the comments where people were like, wow, I wish I'd have voted, and,
I wonder if we asked for enough money.
that's what
I think it's that people thought it was such a small amount, how could we really do all the things we said we were gonna do with the money? And was it important enough for me to come out and vote for $15? That's what I think that.
Some people did say that, you're right, Scott.
I wonder if they, it was a lot of money for the dam, people came out. I don't know if you put it back on and you get more people coming out and vote, you don't get the same result with the same percentages of people that were against it and the people that were for it.
Well, for the dam vote, pretty comfortable with these numbers. We had over 76% of the votes were cast, and of that, almost 87% were in favor.
Right, because I think people felt that was an important issue, and I wonder if they think it's not that important if we're only asking for $15 a month. That was just a thought.
I've heard that too. I heard that same thing.
Is $15 a month enough?
That's what I said, and are we gonna have to come back and ask for more money in another year or so?
Well, certainly one of the issues that I was at both assessment meetings, I've read all the comments on Facebook, I've heard from people, is the lodge. Even though the assessments were all about, roads fixes and so forth, everybody wanted to talk about the lodge and the fact that it lost a lot of money last year. So certainly, it's my opinion that if we're going to put this back out there again, I think we need to be showing improvement on how we're doing with the lodge as part of our marketing, of letting everybody know about this. Certainly things are getting a little bit better, and we need to let people know, but I don't know that word got out.
Well, I think, agreeing with you completely, because one of the things I've heard is that people say it needs to be run like a business. Everybody knows it needs to be run like a business, but this is not a business. This is like a public corporation. We have shareholders who have decision-making power in how we do the lodge. So, you know, we need to make sure people understand that we're trying to run this as a business, that people are serious about this, and it isn't something we're just letting happen.
You know, I wonder if we should have more thought put into this and really put together some kind of a budget that says, with this amount of money, we can do these things. And it may not be the amount that we asked for, it may be more, because we may have shortchanged ourselves. So maybe look more futuristically into, we have all of these things coming up, what is it that we're going to need to have in our budget in order to meet those things and continue to thrive? I don't know that we did that.
Jim, can you recall if there was a correlation between the projects and the total this would raise over the 3 years? We were talking about the road thing for 3 years.
No, there really wasn't.
Okay.
At the beginning, in the very beginning, when we met and discussed an assessment increase and then came to you guys, there was a few items on that list, but after, you know, we wanted to take it to the public, take it to all the members, there was quite a few of the other ones, oh wait, we need to look at this in, you know, 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 1 year from now. So actually, if you added up that list and put the $15 a month to it, we couldn't have done it in 5 years. So that needs to correlate a whole lot better.
I think that maybe we need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. And honestly, we know that we are looking at some expansion for Hideaway Hills. And maybe, I don't know.
What do you mean by expansion, Linda?
A property, Greg.
Okay, right, okay.
So, I think maybe we need to consider a broader picture, and maybe a longer range outlook, so that we know better where we want to go, what we need to have to get there. And I'm not talking about, you know, making it, well, too detailed, because, well, it needs to be detailed enough, but I just think that we need to look longer range, have a budget to meet that, and in order to have the budget to meet that, we may need to ask for more than we asked for.
Okay. One other thing, I've heard several people say that we ought to show what the golf course costs us, and it'll end up costing more than the lodge. And I'm sure more people use the lodge more times than people golf in a year. And we can pull those figures out to say, here's what the golf course costs. And then they can say, well, close the golf course and see what reaction they get.
Same thing with the pool and everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah, golf course, pool, what other thing?
Security, how much does security cost us? It's gotta be a great cost, but we want that.
Oh,
We want all of the things.
Absolutely.
Good point.
And I don't like just because we have a cash register at a facility, we gotta make a profit at that facility. But you hear it time and again.
Well, that's what I felt, that I was at both of the assessment meetings, that the people that were against it, they grabbed on to the lodge and used that as their reasoning for being against the $15.
Yeah.
And we really, you know, we combated it with some numbers at the meetings, but we really didn't have a good comeback for them.
I tend to agree with Linda that rather than pass it tonight, that we go back and, you know, try to get this stuff done by next month and route it out before the meeting, and see if we can come up with the total and these other numbers.
Where does that leave us for operating funds?
Oh, we're fine. I mean, I think some of the things we wanted to add, Dennis, are some big ticket items. They're not things that are gonna turn the world over in 3 months.
You wouldn't see any moto pave next year.
You wouldn't see moto pave, you wouldn't
Couldn't
see
expand that.
nearly as extensive ditch repair. I mean, those were the things, when I said earlier, I think one of the things in terms of what I felt we maybe didn't get enough of the message out was, we talked about it certainly in the management meetings, how how expensive it is to do each one of those. So for example, the going down the hill to Eagle Claw, where those ditches were getting large enough to lose a golf cart in. You know, we put a lot of clay in there, and then we're trying how to do it. But the cost was thousands of dollars for that exact piece. And so if that's what I think maybe if we prioritize, just thinking out loud right now, what those things are and how much. We did have a map of where we were looking to do those, but I'm not sure we got that out to people, that they really saw that. And so that's what we're looking at. We also talked about some compensation issues in terms of we're feeling some pressure on on some of our staffing, just because with the employment market being what it is, it's costing more money. The food service has been in complete transition for the entire time that I've been here. It's just a hard one. I'm glad that Jim Kirk is handling it now.
Well, at one time, Jim, the restaurant was losing close to $500,000 a year.
It was a tremendous
It was a tremendous amount of money, so we made a lot of
We did.
progress on
We
it.
did.
But then we slipped back a little bit in the last year,
Right.
which is, I think, hers, but
Yeah,
I wanna say kind of what Scott said. Yes, it needs to be run like a business. We can make it, profitable or break even, that's great. But it is also still an amenity.
I just, yeah, right.
I might add, just for the record, you guys know this, but I said it before, I was also president of Lancaster Country Club, and came up through the chairs. I was very involved for 4 years, very involved also with Rochester, New York Country Club. And to my knowledge, no country club makes money on its food. They just don't do it. It's pretty hard, and you have a limited audience, and very few, you can invite people in, but most of your traffic is confined to, in our case, 712 members. We might get close to a break even, but I'd be surprised if we ever do. So, end of.
One of the things that we discovered here within just the last 3-4 years at the most was the deterioration of our ditches. We hadn't had that in the years before. We hadn't had these big, heavy downpours every other week that cut away at the ditches on our roads. I mean, when we decided on the moto pave, which was a really good thing, expensive, but really a good thing, but then we had these heavy rains, and what the fear now is that we're gonna lose our moto pave. We didn't know how much it was gonna cost to repair these ditches. We're still not sure. We did a test run down there on Eagle Claw, and we found it to be pretty daggone expensive. But to put an actual number on that, a budget number on it, to do all the rest of the ditches, it's gonna be really hard to do, because there are different depths, there's different sizes, and there's different priorities there. The biggest priority was to protect the moto pave. But that, I think that was the main problem, was that we did not have any cost value on the repair of these ditches, because we just didn't know.
One last lodge comment, in terms of the improvement of the lodge, and if you remember Mr. Kirk's report tonight, he wanted to adjust the hours, and it wasn't because he wanted to adjust the hours, he said it because we know what the sales were, and we've got metrics to start managing those two properties like a business, using various measures to say what we should do, and that's gonna help us with that lodge too.
Also got a general manager's putting stuff out on Facebook asking, what do you people want?
I like that.
Which has never been done.
I'd like to address the road issue. I don't think we wanna go backwards on that. I don't think we wanna take the risk of losing the motor pave that we've already done. I don't think we wanna stop the progress. I don't think we want the ditches to get any worse. Would we consider doing a 1-year assessment for the roads only, while we spend the next year preparing a new budget that covers things on a generalized basis?
That's an option.
Yeah, I mean, the current road assessment generates a little over $160,000 a year. That's at 200 times the 800 and some accounts that we pay, or assessments that people pay. So you've got that much. Just as a point of reference, the Moto pave, the first year when we went from the lodge to the hill down from the clubhouse, we spent a little over $130,000 that year. Then when we finished it last year, going from, or 2 years ago, when we went from where we'd ended to the front gate, that cost us nearly another $100,000. So you roughly, the amount that you see right now in uninflated dollars was around $250,000. And again, so those are the sort of numbers you're looking at. Probably from here to the back gate, I would think was probably about another $100,000 again. I mean, it's a windy road, but it's not quite as long as some of the others. So that gets us just that side of the main road. So you can start to look at how much money, if you wanted to do another 200 per family, you're talking $160,000 is what you'll generate in 1 year. That's
Well, how does that doesn't address our eroding, roadways though?
No, agreed. I just was just providing context for if we wanted to do that. I mean, it is what we thought, we spent several $1,000s just on Eagle Claw.
Right.
We looked at, there's 37 miles of road, approximately, and, with Jim McNabb's input and Rick's and Randy's, we were looking at somewhere between 5 and 6 miles of ditch that need serious repair to them. And I don't have the numbers here in front of me. Jim kind of came up with a wild guess about what it would cost for every 100 feet. And I'm not sure doubling the road assessment for a year would cover, well, I don't think it would cover the ditches.
I don't either. From what I heard last meeting that we talked about it is not cheap to do that, to fix it.
Well, we're fortunate. I mean, with the clay that we're using is our own clay from across the road.
Well, the 300,000 for the ditches was all ditches across about a 3-year period. So if what the proposal Dennis is floating would cover a portion of that, and maybe what we could get done in the first
Well, I think
year.
it's I made some notes. I'm going to get better estimates, not sure exactly how yet, but on the ditches and, the roads and a budget of what it would take over the next 3 to 5 years to address just those 2 items alone. The other stuff on that list, which I don't have a copy of it with me, most of those numbers were, other than the guard shack, that was based on a one-time kind of fly-by the seat of their pants estimate of commercial is gonna cost you $200 a square foot to build. Most of the other stuff on there was, I feel, pretty close.
My only concern with Dennis's proposal is, you said a 1-year road assessment, then we'll go back and say how much more we need. You're saying you're gonna go and hit them with a vote 2 years in a row to increase.
Well, people are still paying some of them are paying the dam assessment currently. I think that had something to do with some of the people voted no.
Am I correct that, how many more, about 2.5 more years on the dam assessment?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so.
My point was that you're going to, if we present the fee, the assessment increase as it was designed before, they'd be paying that money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're saying is, look, we don't want to jeopardize the roads. Got another winter season coming up, we got, stuff that's gotta be done. Rather than jeopardize that, we're asking for a specific amount of money for 1 year. And then the real assessment will include that going forward, so we can have real numbers, we can know what it's gonna take to do real numbers and not just guess. Because if we really have to put it together like we're talking about, it's gonna take some time and effort. And when are we gonna do that? It's gonna take 3, 4 months, 5 months, then we give them another 3 months, and all of a sudden we're a year out anyway.
I think we're better off to put together exactly what we're gonna do before we ask for money.
Any
What
money?
it's gonna cost.
Yes, I agree with Jim.
Yeah, because you said it, you're talking about going back, $200 this year and $200 next year, $200 next year and every time they've got a vote on it,
And what we were
this
asking.
is, losing this vote was not the exception. on an increase. We just have not had any increases in a long time, but I remember back when we'd ask for $25 a month, and we'd have to vote on it 2 or 3 times. It'd go 2 or 3 years
And this
before we
was,
get
this was
passed.
$180 a year, but it was gonna be continuing funds.
I think it might have been a blessing that it failed, so we could go back and ask for more money and get the things that we really need to have addressed, spend more time on it, and sell it properly and get it passed.
I think too, with the increase that we're saying that it's costing to do the roads, sorry, and the increase that it's gonna cost to do the roads, I think the people that were talking to me were saying if it's for roads, why is it on the roads? I think, I've been here 9 years and that roads hasn't gone up at all. The other things have. I think it's a good start for the increase that it's gonna cost us long run to do the door, or do the roads and the ditches, to up that roads fee. I know it's not a problem solver, but it's a,
I mean, we could, I mean, I guess it's sort of getting into what I'm hearing is that we go, okay, let's go $400 for a road assessment. And we just let this.
That solves a lot of problems.
And that would be.
because that's not gonna solve the magnitude of the problem we have right now, but it's gonna start helping.
Well, it'd be, that's more than we asked for in this assessment.
Right, but
400.
what people were telling me was if it's for roads, why don't you raise the roads?
Well, we could earmark it, I mean, that's it, and then, you know.
You're stuck using it for roads.
Pardon?
You're stuck,
You are stuck using it for roads.
Well, it sounds like
And
we've
what
been
was
using
the
it.
timeframe, Randy,
Over
for if
3
you
years.
got the money to do these ditch repairs? Were you planning on, like, if this assessment was passed on Sunday, were we gonna start right away with stuff? I mean, how much you think you were gonna get done this season before the weather turns?
Well, that's the issue. We're getting started on it too late as it is now.
That's what I wondered. So
Yeah.
are we really up against it to save the ditches? Is it something that we were gonna be doing in the next month or 2 anyway, and then it's winter, are we looking at, you know, in spring?
Yeah, I think what we're hoping to do, and I'll speak for you, is that we wanted to do some tests here on those really
See how much it
serious
costs,
problems
yeah.
to get an idea of how much it costs and whether the technique would work.
Right.
Because it's a little different, we haven't done this before.
Mhm.
This is putting the clay down and then putting 2 different types of blacktop on top of it. And getting a sense of what, because we thought of, I mean, our best experts thought it would work, but you don't know until you actually do it.
Sure.
So I think that was where we started, Scott, was to try to come up with that, and then.
It seemed like a good idea to me. I was just wondering how much, we were talking about being in danger of losing the roads, how much of that were we gonna be able to do this season
The
yet?
2 areas that we wanted to address first were Eagle Claw, which they did a little test section on, and then the Golf Course Hill,
Yeah. going down the
which are
Gulf.
both motor paved and they're both in danger. Those would have gotten, probably done yet this fall.
Okay.
And then there's, we did a map of all the ditches, and there's, on both sides of the lake, there's a bunch of ditches that need repaired.
Yeah.
And then October 1 would have begun the new assessment amount. And so going forward, that would be additional funds. And
Which,
again,
yeah, then we'd have had funds kind of building up for next spring, and we could have gone, you know, wild.
Got some of those places that are dangerous.
Yeah.
Sure.
See, you're at the mercy of the plant too, when they're open, so they shut usually in October, depending on the weather. And just like
Yeah,
your
asphalt plant.
the asphalt plant. And just like here recently, they were gonna do some asphalting and they were down because they had mechanical problems. And so we couldn't get any, we were gonna get asphalt yesterday, but because the plant went down. And so and then also, as far as Eagle Claw is concerned, they do 2 different types. They do a base and then they do a topping. So you're at that mercy also, because you need to start with the base and then with the topping, and depending on what they're doing that day. So there's a lot of, variables there on what you can put down and when.
okay.
But to answer your original question, I think what we're in jeopardy of at the moment, because we didn't get that passed and we don't have the money, is to fix Golf Course Hill and Eagle Claw.
Finish Eagle Claw.
Other than that, everything else was probably not gonna start until spring anyways. And it wasn't all roads, but the biggest
Sure.
part of it.
What, 2 things that were really big on it, the roads, and then the getting rid of the gate openers.
RFID,
Second, that was,
attempting to go to
that
a
was the
different
second
system.
thing on there,
Yeah, well, that was all up under safety.
yeah.
Linda, were you trying to chime in?
Well, I wonder if we should look at roads as was mentioned earlier. But then be very clear, that we will be reviewing our budget and will most likely be coming back, for an ongoing assessment increase to address other, maintenance and amenity issues.
I think that's right, Linda, because, and then it's up to us, we're obligated to make the case to everybody in order to get it passed. If we can't make the case, we can't make the case. But, you know, we shouldn't lose the roads, while we're waiting.
Are you talking about a one-time $200 road assessment?
I only put that out there, Jim, because I thought that would maybe be easier to pass, but I like Dwayne's idea. I like the idea of just, putting it on the permanent assessment, then we don't have to worry about it. Then when we do our analysis of the entire budget for the entire place, roads can be off that.
Dwayne, what amount were you saying?
I just was going with the 180. It would come out to be what we were asking for originally onto the roads account. I mean, that could be for your rotopave, for your ditches, for the equipment that does that, because it's a special equipment that does the rotopave and that stuff. A continual, not a one-time, but
And
a
that's all
continual
that.
raise on the,
Well, that's
road
basically what we
assessment.
asked for, but, you're just saying that it's all earmarked for the roads.
correct. And then our other things that we're looking for could be an assessment for that stuff. This would be for just the roads. Our asking for more money on your assessment would be for our other projects, our major projects. that
Are
are
you
done.
asking for a one-time charge of 180, or are you talking about going with the $15 a month that we were?
No, I'm talking about making the roads 380
Annually.
annually. 380.
And when would we ask for this? I mean, how much time do we have? I mean, we've tried to say, we're gonna put this on like a November ballot, is that what I'm hearing here?
If we're gonna do that, the only thing we could do is, that would be with the roads.
And what time does the year does the road assessment, is it paid?
June.
June.
So we wouldn't change the date, so we're still not gonna get the money till June.
Well, you could have two payments.
Yeah.
You could have
You
two
probably
payments.
almost would have to have two payments.
Split them up 6 months.
It's funny how $15 a month doesn't sound near as bad, how much
Right.
each month as $180 one time.
Oh.
It's funny, but, it's just the way people think.
Right, it is.
Is that the right amount though? 380, or is it maybe more or less?
Yeah, that was just, I was just going
I
with
mean,
the
it
math
doesn't
of
sound
what
like
we
we
were
know how
asking
much
for.
it is. I understand, I'm just asking a question.
Well, I think that's a homework assignment.
Yes.
I do too.
The management committee ought to chime in too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I think it starts and ends there, I mean, we can work with them, but nevertheless, I think that's where we have to go.
Are we allowed to address the people who are here watching, observing?
We generally do not, if they have a question, we can respond to them, I have no problem if you wish to ask.
Just really quickly, if we came to you 1 year for a road assessment to address the serious road issues, and then said the next year we'd be back for a general assessment increase, would that be acceptable to you?
No. It's a pretty small sample size.
But I just, we don't have any sample size, in this room.
Can I make a comment?
You may.
When I threw my ballot in to vote for this, I thought the $15 would be enough to do what you're talking about for the roads, okay? That was my assumption. And so I thought that was enough money to do it. Now I'm hearing the opposite side. I don't know, because you kind of are playing my trick with my mind about it. Did you do the right thing the first time? It's kind of a
I think we went too low.
Oh, absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna throw it into possibly a road assessment. I'm getting more confused.
Well, this is spitballing right now.
That's all I'm gonna
Since the
say.
whole thing kind of failed, it's spitballing, trying to find
Yeah,
ways
that's all I wanna
to
say
get the
is
job
that the
done.
reputation of the board, I hope, has to maintain a level control
Control and trust.
and trust. The trust level, in my mind, is a little, I love you all. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand where you are now, but evidently, the $15 wasn't gonna be enough, so maybe it was a blessing in disguise. We're at this discussion.
I think
I
to
think we
have
really
the-
need to go back and look at it before we decide anything. Look at it hard. This is what it's gonna take. Cause this old bit of about coming back year after year after
No.
year and asking for assessment increases ain't gonna fly.
You think Facebook was bad before, wait till you see that.
I'm sorry?
Wait till you see Facebook, if you think it was bad before,
Yeah.
try that. But I think doing a road assessment, I think having those funds allocated for just the roads is a good idea. I think, and then, but I'm not sure, I mean, I'd vote for it, but I'm not sure the majority would as far as approving another assessment another time, having, you know, you're like, okay, you didn't give us the $15, so now we're gonna ask for 180. Oh, and by the way, in a year, we're asking for another one. I think that's a recipe for disaster. But I agree the funds have to get there, but I don't think that's the way to do it.
Be real
I
careful,
really
the next
don't.
thing you know, you'll be running for the board.
I just don't
Okay.
think
Push.
that's the way to do it, and
I think we have our
I hear
homework
a
here
lot,
pretty
yeah.
straightforward. I think we have it, and so we'll ask, Jim and Randy to get started. Do we want a subcommittee out of this group here who wants to interface with the management committee to work on this and work on some of the other issues that we've talked about?
What about getting some of the members?
We had a committee to be the support committee last time. We could ask them to be involved, and if anybody else wants to work with them.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I just think that the members,
I'll do it.
Well, I have a thought, maybe we should ask some of our committee chairs, to be on a committee, to look at this, to look at our, increases that we may need. They hold the larger amenities, they know what is needed.
All right, well, the president can appoint committees.
Yep, we'll do that. We can talk further. Yeah, of course I know. Nancy McCoy. I know the McCoys. So, yeah, okay, let's do that. We'll ask the management committee, and then, I'll think of some names and get a group together and run it all by you, and we'll start working on this from another direction then.
Okay.
So the idea is we will not be passing names tonight. We'll be we're talking to other people in the community to get recommendations from them, and then we'll come back in a month from now. We'll restart this or rediscuss this with hopefully a little more information.
And you know, we don't have to pass this thing in 2 months.
Of course not.
We can look at it hard, because if it passes in November, how much work are we gonna get done before spring anyway?
Right.
So we've got time to look at this and figure out right.
And do it right.
And do it right, yes.
I agree.
All right. Moving forward.
All right. Linda, you wanna stay on the line on this next report?
What's the next report?
The, Panacea Properties.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Just a brief update, we were able to negotiate basically, I can't say a donation because legally, we bought the Panacea Properties, we bought 12 lots around Hideaway Hills, we bought the former Panacea office, we bought the lot in front of the old, what I call the Swamp House and the Swamp House, for the grand total of $1. It was we had to purchase it tax-wise for Frank. That's really the only thing, there's not a lot of costs involved with Hideaway Hills. Ongoing, yes, we'll pick up some property taxes and electric down front. But as far as what we're gonna do at the Panacea office, that's up in the air, that's up to Health and Wellness to come and say how they're going to pay for anything that we're gonna do down there, especially with the assessment not passing. I don't see Hideaway Hills contributing any money on that one. But we just didn't want to let the opportunity go by. And for $1, we got a heck of a deal. And in fact, Randy told us that 2 of the lots that we got are very saleable.
Okay.
And all you gotta do is sell one of those, and we've more than recovered the cost that we'll be putting in it.
Excellent.
How about a big thank you to Frank Panacea and his family?
Yeah.
That was,
I would,
that was very,
what I'd like to
very
recommend is that they normally come down in July, and, we ought to have a lunch for the Panaceas as we did for the Harkins, and the only cost to us is picking up their lunch and some sort of commemorative, but we don't, with this deal, we have no obligation to name anything for them or anything like that because it was a sale, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. And I think down the road, we will be.
We need to consider that.
Does he still have property here and is still a member here?
He's got one property, which a house is.
The house I used to rent?
Used to rent, you're not renting there, that house, and I think he's going to sell that, and that one he is still paying an assessment on.
No.
I don't believe he paid
No,
an
no,
assessment,
he's
he hasn't
not.
paid an assessment on it.
He's not paying assessment, all right, so he does have that one property.
It's a two lot. The house and another lot, an empty lot.
Is that adjacent?
Yeah.
Okay.
1665,
And for the record, Frank didn't pay assessments on about 60 lots, a deal a long time ago. He took over those 60 lots and he was to sell them. That was the deal, to market them, at no cost to Hideaway Hills. He marketed 40 into the 60, and so Hideaway Hills came out very well. End of report.
Any questions at all? All righty.
Thanks, Linda.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye.
Moving on. Mr. Lapp, do we have any new members?
yes, we do.
They're listed on here.
No, those are the old ones. The old new members.
I'd like a motion to accept, the following, people as new members. Larry and Marilyn Hiles, lot 1823. Kimberly Burton and, Anthony Hayes, lots 558 and 559. Patrick, and Michelle Connor, lot 354. Adam and Sarah Foster, lot 270. Tim Mazier, lot 1601. Brian Sherritt and Marlene Sherritt, lots 126 and 127. And lastly, David and Christina White, lot 269.
Motion on the floor to accept the motion? You second the motion? Eric made the motion. Yeah, you second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? New members, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That being said, I think it is now, we need a motion to adjourn. We do have an
Any
executive.
additional business?
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to correct you, but.
What do you mean?
It's on the-
It's
it's on
the
the
job
agenda.
of past presidents to correct and keep us honest.
But you're supposed to do it a little bit nicer than,
You're right.
hey, you dummy!
I think you enjoyed that.
It was
I just, you missed it.
I resemble that. Does anybody have any additional business to bring before that being said, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, all I gotta do is vote on it. Even the past president who's still on board, convinced.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn, is there a second? Dennis seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, motion passes.
Who was the first on that, the motion?
Greg.
Greg.
All right, we have an Article 9, folks.
Thanks for coming, that's the nicest crowd
It
we've had
is.
here in, quite a long time. Hey, honey, are you gonna get a pizza? Thank you.
I didn't realize this.
Are we, going down here?